What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 3 of the Chainbreaker podcast. It's Joe Herrera. I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, the WGR, Colton Lindsay. Colton, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up? How are you? Thanks for having me
Good.
here. I'm doing great, man. I love my life. Thanks for asking.
I saw some fresh cellophane on your forearm. You got something fresh to talk about?
Yeah, got a new tattoo I've been working on for a while. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, well, now it's finally
Is it the
on
first
my
one?
arm. No, it's probably my 6th or something like that. So
Nice.
this one's by far the most extreme one, sort of speak, that we can say. I've got the brain. I don't know if it's hard to see. It might be kind of
That
weird
looks
right now.
good.
I got a brain right here with a DNA strand that connects with a heart, and that just is heart mind cohesion and being in my heart and remembering who I am instead of acting from that space in my head, always trying to figure everything out. So yeah.
No, it's cool. So we've been working together now for a couple of months. Probably didn't even know who each other were 6 months ago, and since then we've gotten pretty close. But the cool thing is I don't know much about your story, and so the purpose of this podcast is we repeat kind of each week we do one is just meeting with people who are doing really cool stuff, finding success in life. But not all of us were handed silver spoons. Sometimes silver spoons can in and of themselves be their own challenge. And so just kind of talk to me who you are, where you're from, growing up, what you're, kind of what led you into the real estate space. So I guess let's just start. I think you're from Utah, right? Born and raised?
Yeah, born in Clinton, Utah is my hometown. Born in Ogden. Pretty much lived between Clinton and Ogden most of my adult life until just recently moving to Davis County, Kaysville, which is a big change. It's different here. The thing I love about Ogden is what I call their slogan is "Keep Ogden Sketchy," right? Like it's got this sketchy vibe about it, but it's new money, like infopreneurs and entrepreneurs that are really shaking in that city right now. So it's come a long ways over the last 37 years of my life, for sure. You can walk down the road and not feel like you're going to get mugged. So that's a really good thing to know.
So anyone not from the area, Ogden's north of Salt Lake, yeah? It's like the
Yeah, it's
next valley over.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes north of Salt Lake, 2 counties north. It's a really big ski hub right now with a lot of the, Solomon and big companies like that move their headquarters there. And it's a really great outdoor area between skiing, mountain biking, wakeboarding, just a lot of outdoor activities here, paddleboarding.
So growing up, did you grow up in a 2-family home? What did your parents do for work?
Yeah, listen, so I grew up.
Say.
Yeah. My parents still married today. Coming up on probably about 45 years of marriage, which is extraordinary. My dad worked for the gas company, started as Mountain Fuel, then Questar, then Dominion. So it was he was there so long, it went through 3 different major transformations and buyouts. He was there 40 years working with the gas company. My mom was a secretary, and that's actually how I got into real estate. She was a secretary for a real estate brokerage for 42 or 43 years.
Wow.
And which is extraordinary because I grew up comfortable in the 90s, right, with an N64, always having playing little league sports and having good friends. But we were definitely on the west side of the tracks, right? We didn't have the basketball courts in our basement. I'm in my theater room right now. We didn't have stuff like that when growing up. And so, to see the money I generate today in business in a year would have taken my mom 20 years or so.
Right.
And so it's extraordinary to see what is possible. And I think it's a difficult place to come from because we almost get us 90s kids specifically get extremely comfortable with just having enough. Right. And then you kind of see what today's generation is. It's like everything's put on a silver platter for these younger kids. They don't even know what manual labor is. So I think you're better off growing up rich or poor than comfortable, because comfortable, you stay comfortable.
That's probably true. That is true. So I'm a golfer, and I read this book called The Mind of a Golfer. It's Bob Rattel is a golf coach, and the funny thing is, not sure how much you know about golf, but I shoot between 78 and 82. It's just what I do every single round of golf I play. And in the book, he just talks about your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, is comfortable with a certain production aspect, a certain way of, so for life, it's like a certain way of life. You get comfortable. And so if I have a really good round going, it's almost like I will subconsciously sabotage myself to get back to that 78 to 82. And if I have a terrible round going, then the next 9 holes, I'll go like 3 under to get back to that 78 to 82. And so I'm doing a lot of mental work on myself to say, like, man, how do I break that mold of 78 to 82 and just slide it down to like 72 to 76? The point being, we all become comfortable with certain things. And I found in real estate, comfort is like the biggest enemy to progress and success, because once somebody gets comfortable, it's really hard to get them to go through the uncomfortable things that will help them be successful. So kind of coming from that background, then it would have been very much made sense for you to go to work for a utility company, or for you to go, it sounds like your parents definitely provided for the needs and some of the wants, but you're achieving financial success that probably wasn't even dreamed of. And I don't know if anyone in your family around you has even done it.
No. I mean, I literally have shifted the entire future of our bloodline forever with the grace of God. And, but it's because of my parents as well. Like, I used to be in my 20s, Joe, was like, you know what, I know more than everyone, including my parents. Why did they blah, blah, blah. I'd almost kind of downplay. And now today, when I became in my 30s, that's when I realized, shit, I have no idea what's going on. And then I started to realize no one knows what's going on.
Nobody knows.
COVID just proved that to everyone. No one really freaking knows. But now I look at my ancestors and my parents, my grandparents. I was like, listen, I'm running with the flag here, and I'm freaking representing the family really well. And so I look at it differently now, which is cool. But you're right. Like, we have to reshape, just like in golf, right? We have to reshape this thermostat financially. And I think that's the first thing is can I not how do I go generate cash? I think that is important to know, but what's important about going and generating cash and shifting my thermostat? And a lot of, for me, and maybe this will help your golf game, it's breath work and meditation. And it's being grateful for almost closing the deal before I close the deal, right? Being grateful for living that experience before I live the experience, because whether it's in my mind or in 3D, it's the brain doesn't understand the difference. And I've found that there's 3 major ways that we really create our future. One is we have a clear vision of where we're going. We're extremely certain, hey, this is what's going to happen. I don't know how exactly, but this is what's going to happen. And we trust in the abundance of the unknown. 2 is by changing my history in the moment, meaning I do something different right now than I'm used to doing. I don't stay so ingrained in my patterns. I always am doing something new with curiosity. But the 3rd, which is probably the biggest shift for me, is changing my perception of the past. Science now shows that 50% of our perception of past experiences, events, it's wrong. We made it up. We saw it and then we gave it meaning. And so we can go back and give a new meaning, especially through breath work. Breath work changes at the atomic level and reshapes the neural pathways. And it's extraordinary. And so that's how I create most everything now, is through that.
It's crazy you bring that up, because so my mom left when I was 11 years old. She was a compulsive gambler, like some really dark stuff. And I probably held a lot of anxiety and animosity about that for a long time. But I've, in the last couple of years, gotten to be just so grateful for the weird upbringing I had at times, because it's been such a springboard to my success. And so at some point, I was going through that. So then walk me through your high school kid. You're playing sports. I think you went and gave a couple of years of service. And did you come home and go to college, or what was your path there?
First thing that triggered real estate for me is my mom. In the 8th grade, I would go to the office, and there was this guy driving a red Hummer. And I was like, dude, if he's driving a Hummer, he must be making a lot of money.
H1.
Oh, it was the H2, right? So the H2, I don't know, remember now. That was so long ago. I would never buy one. Yeah,
I had an H2. It was awesome. I loved it. I kept it for like 6 months, but it was great.
Yeah, I think it was the new ones that came out. They were kind of like nice.
H2.
So I think it was the H2. And to me, it represented a lot of money. And then so I was like, I'm ready to get into real estate, because before then, I thought if I can make 75 grand a year and have a nice truck, I'm set. Like,
done.
Totally.
Well, right? And with all due respect, I've driven through Utah quite a bit, and Utah is the 75 grand a year nice truck capital of the entire world. I mean, there are And that's good money. And there's a lot of people that do that. But if you go up and down the I-15 corridor, you're going to see a lot of nice trucks. And if you looked in some W-2s, you'd probably see a lot of $75,000 a year earners, because that is the I-15 corridor. Vegas is the same way.
And $75,000 a year then was substantially more than $75,000 a year today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then graduated high school, knew that somehow I was going to be involved with real estate. I worked for a year at Clinton City Public Works till I could go on my mission. Oh, actually worked there for 2 months, got fired. Then I worked as a gas meter reader for a year. That's what I did. My dad got me a job after I got fired. Went on my mission, which was extraordinary. In fact, favorite part of that.
Where'd you go?
I was in Brazil, Santa Maria in the south near Rio Grande do Sul. It was amazing. I've gone back several times since then to Brazil. I love it. But at the end, towards the end of my mission, maybe 3/4 of the way through, I was at a member's house and they had a book in Portuguese, Como Influenciar Pessoas e Ganhar Amigos, which is how to win friends and influence people. And I grabbed that book and I read that book. I know you're not supposed to read books other than the scriptures on the mission, but just attracted me for whatever. And then I was like a district leader or something at the time. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to take everyone to a pizza party tonight. We went to, in Brazil, they have rodizio pizza. So kind of like the rodizio grill where they come around with meats. They do that with pizzas there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You need to open up one of those in Utah. It'd probably kill it.
Dude, it probably would kill it. And so anyways, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try some of these things I learned in this book. And then the next time around, the server gave me 2 pieces of pizza while everyone else only got 1. And I was like, holy shit, I can literally. And that was when
called the server by their name and stuff like that. And all of a sudden
just doing those things for the book and paying extra attention. So anyways, that was the first time I realized, wait a second, I actually can have a say in my future. Like I can have a say in my life. Up to that point, I didn't understand that. I thought that I was going to live the life of the lot that I was given, that whatever it was, that's what I had to do. And now I see it completely differently. I see every moment as a gift. And everything is for me, and then I can have some say in the influence of the direction that it goes. Now I can't have 100% control, but I can have a control how I show up, how I respond. I can have my psychological and my emotional state. And then got into real estate, failed miserably after my mission. Sold 2 houses the first year. Still live in my mom's basement. I did a year of college before, and did 2.5 or something. I think 2.5 years after, and I graduated.
So what year was this? What year did you get home from your mission?
2005. I got home from my mission, got licensed October 2005, went back to college. So I was trying to do real estate while I was doing college. And because I spoke Portuguese, which is very similar to Spanish, I just took like the top Portuguese class and opted out of the rest and got a bunch of credits. And then I took one of the top Spanish classes and then got all those credits. So I was really able to accelerate going through college. And then I did professional sales, which is the easiest at the time. I was like, this is the easiest one for me to get through as quick as possible, make my mom happy, be done with school. Right. And I'm grateful for the sales. But then I got out of college, and anyways, I was in real estate, sold 2 houses, failed miserably. I went to an event, like a free event, training event. And there's this guy that was talking about making contacts and getting referrals.
Do you remember who it was?
Bob Leffler. His name was Bob Leffler. Yeah.
I thought you were going to go buy referral only and Joe Stump.
Oh no, but he was very similar. Anyway, so I was like, I got to start talking to people. And then after I figured that out, I was early 20s and I sold like 20 something homes. Each year I get better.
This is like 2010, 2011.
Probably around there. Cause I remember the crash. I watched the crash. That was when I did my first spec home, which anyway, that's a whole other story we can talk about, but I made money on that still, even with the poor decision of building a spec home in 2007. But so as 2007, 2008 happened, I was watching all these big producers and developers and just leave. And my listings just kept going up, especially when short sales come on. And then by 2011 and 12, I was just like carrying 30, 40 listings at a time. A lot of them short sales that were paying me 9 months later. And I leveraged that out because I didn't want to deal with it. Right. And all I did was just go get content until I got to the point too, where I was just, I'll take your listing and you pay me $1,000 up front just to get started with it. Right. Because I knew it was going to be so I could keep the cash flow coming in. And I was probably doing 75 deals a year as a single agent. And I was just like really burnt out. And what got me to 20, 30 deals got me to 75, but it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't leveraged. There was no leadership. I was actually burning a lot of clients because there was one year I did 42 for sale by owner. So that was a big source for me. And I was just really a young narcissist is a delightful way to put it. And I remember it was to this point where I was in my career. Like I remember driving to listing appointments, getting high, smoking a joint before I'd go meet with a seller, and just going in. It was just like, how can I go get that next contract? Right? Just stupid, taking shots in the middle of the day. I've got some of the funny stories as you get to know me that you'd like, what? But then it probably wasn't until 2016 things started shifting for me. 2015 and 16. I went to an event called Enlightened Warrior, which was amazing because I'd realized I'd been running out of warrior mode my entire life, just to hustle and grind and to prove myself through success. And then I realized there's this other space where I could relax a little bit. And I was like, man, that feels good. And then also at the same time, earlier that year, one of my very best friends that I've known for years, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and then 6 months later passed away. So I've got these things going on in my life that made me really question some things. And when he died, I asked myself, what do I want to do before I die? And it was the first answer that came to me was, I want to be healthy, because I was not. I was 50 pounds overweight. I was doing drugs, alcohol. I remember being at parties where just like, oh, that seems like, let's put that in my mouth, right? Which is so stupid.
Right.
For whatever reason, the brain thought that was a good idea. And so I started doing this transition, and actually eating healthy was one of the things that started shifting me. And it was a slow move because I didn't know how to be healthy. I didn't grow up like that. My girlfriend today jokes about it all the time. Like she was saying, how fat were you as a kid? I know you ate unhealthy growing up, right? Like we joke about it. But when I could start a regimen, for me, it was green smoothies, because I was all over, going to listing appointment stuff. I could do smoothies, put it in a blender bottle and take it all day. I started to make some shifts. And then along that road, I started getting into Tony Robbins, and that helped transition some things for me to where I remember I was at an event. It was December 2017. I was realizing I was really unhappy in my marriage at the time. And I had this glimpse of a vision at one of Tony's events to where I could have this most amazing relationship with this woman that supported me, loves me, that we just have this romantic polarity and connection. But my brain was limiting because, like, how can I do that? Because I'm married and I don't like being married to this person. And I know she didn't either. In fact, she's way better off in her relationship now. And I mean, fuck, I don't blame her. If your husband's driving and smoking weed, like, of course there's gonna be some challenges.
Right.
So that was the first time that I wrote down, like, hey, listen, this is what I want for an ultimate relationship. I started crystallizing.
So it all started with losing a friend and realizing, like, man, there's something to this mortality. We're born dying, basically. And so how can I make the most of my time here?
Well, that forced me. Cool. My first big fear, Joe, was the fear of my own death, which we all, we're going to die, right? But we try to avoid even thinking about that.
For sure. Yeah.
But then there's the other fear that I faced right around that time too, is when my dad retired. I watched him kind of go through a breakdown, right? Kind of some panic attack, right? Like
finding purpose and stuff like that.
Right.
At that point.
It's a big shift, 40 years with that company. And now what? Right. And that was where I began to face the fear, which I still haven't fully done it with my parents. Thank God. I'm so grateful they're alive, but was the fear of the loss of a loved one. It was about that time. 2017 is when that started as well. And, so that was kind of what was going on my world. In fact, I had another thing that triggered. There's a lot of little things. 2014, I had a big goal to take my family to the World Cup in Brazil. We went, which was awesome, beautiful. Closed a bunch of deals, but then I got home. I was like, dude, I got what? You know what I mean? Because I was single agent. Yeah. That was when my brain had to start to shift financially, and I heard the phrase financial freedom, which is where your leverage residual income pays for your desired lifestyle. I was like, dude, I got to create that. Right. And that's where I started thinking, and these timeframes too, shifting into building a team. I went into to build a brokerage, which I hated, by the way. I had like 50 something agents. It was terrible. I didn't like it.
It's not all it's cracked up to be, that's for sure.
No, it's not. That's why I love real. Like, I make so much more money with real.
So much less hassle. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I froze for a second. So much less hassle. So there's a lot of these things going on, which then 2017 as well, I remember I said to my coach, like, I wasn't happy selling houses either. And I said, you know what? I'm ready to burn down what I've built to go build what I'm here to build. And I started shifting to more contribution based. And then early 2018, that time frame, I discovered breath. I was just getting into breath work. And then I went through my first, which I don't recommend either, grandfather peyote ceremony, which is basically I went and got really high on peyote for about 14 hours. But it taught me this lesson. In fact, I was just talking with one of the guys I was with. I thought I was going to die that night. And I remember I talked to what we called the medicine man, which is really the drug guy, right? And then we talked to my friend that was there, which has done a ton of work with that. And I just said, hey, can I enroll you guys in some support? Because I literally thought I had taken the drug that was going to kill me that night, because I'd done different drugs, and I thought I'd hit it. I'd hit rock bottom.
This was it. Yeah.
This was it. Thankfully, it wasn't. I remember I woke up the next day and kissed the ground. I was in Logan, Utah, and I saw there was still snow-capped mountains, and I was just crying that I was not even alive, but that I exist. And that was a huge shift for me right then. And I'd made a thing with my coach where, hey, I'm going to go all in on my marriage for 90 days. Like, I'm going to just.
So you're still married at this point in 18? Still
married. Yeah. And I was going to go all in to just be the best that I can. And Tony had told a story about when he got divorced that said, when he got divorced, the first thing she asked was, well, how do I get a seat at the table at these charity dinners and things? Like, she was worried about that. And so I went all in, nothing changed. And I even thought, if I get her to Date with Destiny as a Tony event, maybe it'll help. So I bought a ticket to Australia to take the whole family there. And when I presented to her, she says, hey, I'm not going unless you fly me business class. And at the time, even though I was doing well, it was like 50 grand just to fucking fly my family. And I was like, dude, that doesn't make any financial sense at this stage of my life, right? And so I was like, you know what, this is, and at that point I was in a black hole that I couldn't stop. Like, within 90 days, we were divorced with such extraordinary rate in Utah of speed time. And that's when I then started to really be okay with myself. And I think that was extremely important, is like, can I sit with myself? And even look at today, how many people can't even take a poop without their phone, right? It's because they struggle to just sit with themselves and be okay with their thoughts, because we always feel like we're supposed to be doing something,
Well, and there's something to that too. I think the more secure I am with myself, the more personal progression I make. Like, there was a time where I just hated traveling by myself. Like, it was either a couples trip with my wife, or a guy's trip. And recently I came up to Utah. I played in a golf tournament. I ended up bumping into some buddies, but I was pretty much by myself for 3 or 4 days, and it was awesome. And so there's something in the maturation process of learning to enjoy your own company that's really, really important. And so that's cool. Yeah, it's cool to hear.
Yeah. So part of that time frame too, I had realized I wanted to help realtors. And so that was when I launched my academy. And I was actually going to join EXP in January 2018. And I didn't align. In fact, I got banned from the company. And the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly, I just realized I didn't align with their values. And I'm grateful for that now.
Yeah.
But then it led me to this really cool opportunity with Real, because now from 2018 to end of 2020, I'm working on building systems of agent attraction, not for a brokerage only, but now I help realtors go to that 7-figure level, but do it as an owner, as opposed to an operator working 29 hours a day, 8 days a week. And also what I found is a lot of these people, like some of my top clients doing 200 grand a month, they're at one point, they're using opioids. They're taking 5 Oxycontin a day just to deal with the stress. And so what I realized is there was this need to help entrepreneurs in real estate not only make the money, but enjoy their life as well, and not be so wrapped up into this high-paced stress grind mode that we've been almost trained to think is cool, right? Hustle and grind. When you think about grinding, like, do you want to be grinding away till the day you die? No, there's no way.
Well, there's something that happens with most people that get into the real estate space and take it serious. Like, there's so few people that take our industry serious. Mm-hmm. I have a theory that it's because we don't pay a price, a traditional, according to the social norms price. Like, we're very comfortable with the price a dentist pays to become a dentist, or a lawyer pays to become a lawyer. A real estate agent can become a real estate agent in like 3 weeks. And so because of that, our industry is obsessed. We have this insecurity that we haven't earned our seat at the table, for lack of a better term. So anyways, most people never take the career serious. The ones who do take it serious progress to a point to where they go, I just can't be the 75-year-old guy that's been opening doors for 40 years and writing contracts. I just can't do that. So then they've got to find other paths. And so you hit that in 17, 18, whatever it was.
Yep.
So talk about what you've created. Talk about the WGR. Talk about, because you're deep in the real estate space, but I don't know when the last time you wrote a contract was for the
I actually did write one this year because I bought a lot. And so
there we go.
On a lot that I bought for myself. But I'm selling my house right now. We just went under contract today and I didn't even list my own house.
Right.
But so I probably stopped showing homes in 2017, 2016. I'd already leveraged that part out with an assistant / showing agent.
On the buy side.
On the buy side. In 2018 is when I shifted out of selling homes. So by 2019, I was completely out of production and going all in. In fact, real estate revenue is my smallest source of revenue now, and I still do great. We have 7 or 8 sales agents on our team. We'll probably do 100 deals this year, right? So we still do really well overall. But my thing is I became very purpose and mission driven to make a difference in the way. And I remember I was in a mastermind with Tony, and I asked him how can I make a dent in the universe, right? Because I'd heard that quote from what's his name, the guy from Apple, right? And he was like, "Give the gifts you've been given." And I was like, "Dang, okay. So what gifts do I have?" And I realized I had some amazing gifts as far as being able to step out of business, being able to be happy with this process, deal with these challenges of divorce. And
the challenge is that takes so much raw honesty to get to the point to where you can even evaluate what your gifts really are, because the societal norms program you to say almost like Wall-E, like, hey, don't get off the food cart, like just stay on your thing. And when you realize well, maybe my thing and my gift and what I can bring, my unique value proposition to the world, to an industry, whatever it is not what the manual says it is.
Right. And what I found out through 14 hours of 1,000 milligrams of peyote, through being, I remember one time, this will crack you up. I was in San Diego hosting a mastermind with another group that I was a part of back in 2017. This is kind of when I was going through some shifts. I had got this thing called the Devil's Chocolate, which was 1,000 milligrams of THC in this bar, and I'd eaten a quarter of it. So I literally had 250 milligrams of. I peed the bed that night. Like that's how extreme I would go, Joe. I'm not talking like I'd take a little hit in the circle or whatever.
Sure.
I would go to this, and so I remember that mastermind. We were doing this break the ice thing. And one of the partners started it, and I said, "Hey, just know this is a safe space. You can talk about anything." And I started getting really high as everyone started going through this. I didn't know these guys from Adam yet, most of them. And there was guys talking about how they cheated on their spouse, talking about how they tried to commit suicide. They deal with all these. And I was like, so I started thinking I was having a conversation with myself. It was the wildest experience. Like I thought I was having a conversation with 25 different of my
versions of yourself.
Right.
Wow.
And so there was some huge waking ups along the way. What I round out is these are my choices. I chose to put those things into my body, which I don't recommend, by the way. I'm not endorsing this on any level.
The Devil's Chocolate, you have no sponsorship deal with the Devil's Chocolate.
I don't have a sponsorship deal with that. No brand deal with that one. But what I found out is these big painful moments, whether they happened by chance when I was a kid, like I got left in the car at 2 years old for 2 hours in August. I'm just grateful to be alive, right?
Wow.
Or whether it was when I was high on peyote or on something else. These are actually the greatest gifts. Not to say that I want to go through that pain again.
Sure.
To I don't want to experience that, but they were my biggest gifts ever given to me, because it forced me to say, okay, no one's coming to save you. You got to make some different choices. You got to change with your decisions. You got to change with your beliefs and how you show up. And I'm still a work in progress. Like
we all are, yeah.
I've got it all and figured out, but I just have so much more joy in my life. I just have so much more gratitude and appreciation. And it was funny. One of my mastermind clients today was asking me, she's like, "Hey, are you always this chill?" I was like, "Fuck no. Sometimes you should see me in my intense modes, right? Like you don't want to be around me." But these energies, and this is why I say emotional state management is so important, is this what drives us to obtain these things. And as I did this, I realized, like you said, you kind of brought up sponsorship deal with them. One of the ways I started realizing is I can biggest lesson I learned is you add so much value when people come to you, you monetize it. I learned that from T. Harv Eker. And so I started realizing, you know what, I could actually brand, I could make money off my brand, which I tell you before, my goal is to do 125 grand this year just off of brand deals. And, which is awesome. Or, you know, I had these different opportunities. And so we got the real estate revenue, we have the investment revenue, we've got the academy revenue, we've got the WGR Real downline revenue. And my objective is can I get 5+ monetizations off of my network? And the reason why that's important is because now I'm geographically free, I'm financially free, I am being able to fund things like private school for my kids, fund my Model A, fund the new house that we're working on, fund the event that we're doing. Like, there's so many cool things that I can now go create. In fact, one of the things I'm most excited about is I've wanted to say, okay, now is the time to really contribute on a higher level. So we've got our nonprofit, and we're just working on some of the details now, but everything that goes into that going forward, we're not going to spend on anything till we can hire someone full-time to run that. And what I've learned is with sex slavery, the rehabilitation sucks. And so 1.2 million people have been rescued, and there's maybe enough for 1,000 different locations that people can actually be rehabilitated. And so a lot of them, they'll end up back into it just because it's what
there's nowhere to go. Yeah.
Right.
My son was building spots down in Costa Rica this summer, like a refugee camp for sex trafficked individuals. It was super life-changing experience for him.
Right. So that's what one of our major focuses is now, is that we get that nonprofit up and going to where we will then go fund these different projects like your son, or different ways for the rehabilitation side specifically. Yeah. So that's a new thing that we're really, really excited about working on.
Well, let's talk about these two things and then we'll call it. Number one, what piece of advice would you give to individuals who go through gnarly things? There seems to be a fork in the road, and probably multiple forks in multiple roads, where people have hard things, make bad choices. Not all the things that happen to us. Sometimes they happen because of us. And so, like, what piece of advice, if you have anything, can you give to somebody who's living through one of those, facing a fork? Do I fold or do I catch fire? You know, it's like we all have these experiences that you can look back and go, man, my roadmap is 2008, 2010, 2012, 2014. You kept facing these things. What is there a high level piece of advice you can give somebody to say, like, listen, you don't have to turn to drugs. You don't have to live in mediocrity. You know, it's kind of like there's people who do really destructive things, and then there's like a destruction of mediocrity that exists, and just like living in the norm. And that's why I love the title of Chain Breaker. Like, at some point, somebody who's lived the need fulfilling life that has to strive for something more, because we as humans we're not made to just follow, you know, live just for our needs. Our wants sometimes can be great motivators. So anyways, what is your advice for people to break that mold?
Well, a couple of things. Whether it's happening to you or because of you, it's definitely happening for you. It's a gift. And so whatever it is, wherever it is the biggest gift for you at this point. So embrace that, number one. Number two is, and I've been asked this question, okay, if you go back to younger self, what advice would you give yourself? And I think there'd be two things. One would be, hey, listen, dude, everything turns out okay. It's a little bit bumpy ride, but hold on, it's amazing. But the other is that I would say, and I give myself this advice all the time now, is trust yourself. In the great book, Think and Grow Rich, there's a secret in there. And a lot of people never even discover what this is, but it's the ability to think and trust the hunch that's given to you. That's why breathwork's so powerful to me. And so I would say trust yourself and trust the abundance of the unknown even more, instead of clinging on to the certainty of familiarity that you're so used to. And then the other thing that I would say is get around proximity. Proximity is extreme power. So when you can surround yourself with individuals that are living the life that you want, you'll naturally begin to do that. I think that's, honestly, I couldn't have written in my dream and vision of creating wealth and financial freedom and joy and love and experience. I could have written Joe into the novel, but somehow this character's in here and I'm
Right.
experiencing it. I'm very, very grateful for it. And in fact, I don't even know if you know how often I'm writing about how grateful I am for you. And I couldn't have personally created that. Something bigger than me has to align that. Right. And when you choose to take this action, it's how faith works. When I act, it sends a signal to God, and God acts. And
Right.
that would be the advice that I would say with wherever you're at in your life. Trust even more and know that it's exactly where you're supposed to be. It's a gift, but see it as a gift.
It's almost insulting how true it is, right? Like there's some things that are just insulting with how true they are. Gravity can be very insulting. Like it's just, man, if you try to, if I haven't skateboarded in a while and I try to skateboard, it's insulting how true of a principle gravity is. It's almost insulting how true of a principle that proximity is. Like the more I surround myself with people that are either achieving what I want to achieve or striving to achieve what I want to achieve, like it just naturally lifts you up. And so that is sometimes it's an uncomfortable process. I recently went through, I've had a core group of guys that I've ran with forever. And it's not that they're not achieving the financial goals I would want to achieve, but there's just certain things about life that we're just viewing very differently. And it's been such a healthy process for me, not to with anger or with angst or in any way, but just to say, like, guys, I've got to step away, and I'm really, really pushing to break some chains and
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
And how healthy it's become as you and I and Spring and Taylor and Jared and all the awesome people that I spend probably the most amount of my non-public time with, just one-on-one texts and calls and things like that. It is really true. All right. So last but not least, talk about your world a little bit now. I know you've got the WGR Summit coming up, which is huge. You've got 800 people attending virtually. You've got 100.
We have over 900 people totally registered now between live and virtual. This is like, I couldn't have. It's extraordinary. In fact, one of the reasons, the biggest reason why I'm doing it is because of my girlfriend. Right. So we talked about having that relationship that I wrote down. I wanted someone that support me and pushed me. And my old relationship, this would have never happened because it would have been, whereas I'm doing it now because of her, not in spite, but because of her, because she's the one that believed in me that extra step, which is extraordinary to do. So I've got that going on. We've just hitting today. This is huge. 400 in that's awesome. My downline network with Real, which is extraordinary.
Talk about that. There's nothing to sell. You're not selling binders. There's no vitamin products. There's no knives. But you and I have both gravitated into this world of, I really call it like partnership systems. Like we transition 100 agents in our local brokerage to 100 agents in a national brokerage with Real, that we now have 100 business partners. And I really mean it. Like how cool it is that all 100 people, every time someone walks through my door, whether they're doing their first deal or their 100th deal, they are a business partner of mine in the same world. And now we have partners in Utah and Arizona and California and Texas and New Mexico. And like, we're growing like crazy. So talk about that transition for you from being a local brokerage owner in Utah to now being really a voice in a larger national company. Like what is it about this business model? Because I think we're aligned with the traditional brokerage model it's just broken. I don't know if it's going to take a decade or two for it to completely phase out, but it'll
take a little model. Yeah. So I want to touch on that because we have cycles of businesses and industries. And right now we're the real estate industry, for real estate agents in particular, it's an aging industry. That's just the reality. It's an old model. It's just aging. And so you have two choices when it ages: innovate or die. And so you're seeing some businesses try to innovate and you're seeing some die. And a great example we've seen is Sears, right? Sears was this amazing, the low budget place to go. And then what happened was Walmart. And then Walmart came on, and then they had to innovate because what happened next was Amazon, which Walmart is probably my favorite example because they did innovate. They've really shifted, especially outside the US, to an online platform, which has been extraordinary for them. But then you've got examples like Blockbuster, who they went gone. right? So there's all these extraordinary examples of innovation.
Right.
And so that's where we're at with the industry. And so you've seen companies come on that have begun to innovate in the model. And this one, particularly for me with Real, was an outlier opportunity. If you ever read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell. Yeah, it's rad.
I happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right experience and the right connections to say, yeah, let's run with this opportunity. And it's been extraordinary. And I think it's a lot of people's outlier opportunity right now, because there's a thing that happened that we watched over the last decade with a major competitor come on and shift the model of real estate in a big way. And there's two types of people that come to me. One is actually leaving from that company because they align more with my values and
core values.
The other is right. And which is great. And there's no right or wrong on that. You choose your value system, which extraordinary people with that company, by the way, that I'm great friends with. In fact, one of them speaking, Brian Casella at my summit, an amazing guy. But then there's the other type is people that watch that company and kind of scoffed at it, which I might have in the early days started it like that as well. But at the same time, I watched what kind of revenues are being made. And I was like, wait a second. Yeah. And so a lot of agents kind of felt like they missed that boat. And so that's who's coming to me. And so it's really cool to see what I align with and my values and coachability and feedback and contribution and make a difference and work hard and be kind. That's really powerful. But at the same time, it's like, hey, we're here to succeed at a higher level and expand and contribute even more. And that's kind of how it's unfolded. I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with you. We're doing the event September 27th, 28th.
September 27th.
I talked to a couple of people that are, that's not even in Vegas that are coming to that. So that's extraordinary. We've got some other events coming up along the way. So there's just so much opportunity. But I think the opportunity biggest for me is it's asymmetrical. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but asymmetrical investments I look for, it's low risk downside. Like if I make a mistake, I don't lose hardly anything or nothing at all. But if I'm right, boom, I make a ton of money. Massive. So a great example of an asymmetrical investment is 2010 Bitcoin. I put $5,000 into it. $5,000 doesn't kill me. If I'm right though, and it goes up, I am very, very wealthy right now. Right. And so I've had several of those opportunities in my career, but this is probably the biggest. And so aligning, leaving the other company and which I was owner of and having to make this shift was like, okay, if this messes up, if I'm wrong, my business, I'm still making plenty of money. It won't kill me. Right. But if I'm right, to see where the stock's at about $2 a share right now, to see where it can go. And we've seen other models. And I don't know if it will go $70, $80 a share, but I can see it going that higher before it splits. The revenue share of being in kind of the ground floor with only, 3,000 agents right now. I came in at 1,400. I think our network, we're right around 15% inside of the company growth. It's extraordinary, just amazing. And so I see these experiences that's lining up. Yeah, I think I'll 5 to 10x my return on this investment of being involved with this. In fact, awesome. You look at the biggest investors that the company has. I think they're out of Vegas, right? Is it they just invested the $47 million?
You're talking about Insight Partners?
Insight. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're out of, but that was a big deciding factor for us was just seeing the money that was behind it. We had done a tech startup. We were partnered with Shaq. It was awesome. We were working with Adam Carolla and Sean Neff and all these rad brands and individuals and who invested in you was really big. And so for us, when we started looking at Real, seeing that Insight Partners was involved, I think they were one of the main founding funding partners of Qualtrics, and they're just super smart guys. The thing I love about in the real estate space, the choices people make right now is that you look at a Colton Lindsay and you're like, I mean, I don't think you would feel comfortable saying you're on the Mount Rushmore, but you've accomplished a lot. Like you're doing a lot. Yeah. And so you're almost to most agents listening to the podcast, it's almost like, well, that's cool. He's doing that, but he thinks at a different level than me. Like I'm just trying to pay my car payment. The best thing I see about the Real opportunity or like-kind companies, other companies where you could get rev share and stock, is that it does not require you to do 100 transactions, 1,000 transactions, to have 1 million downlines or whatever. All you have to do is do what you're already doing and
Yeah.
be excited enough to share that with other people, and you could start to experience the benefits. When we
Right.
owned our brokerage here, we had 140 agents at our peak, and it was every single agent that ever closed a deal helped make me more money.
Yeah.
Them closing deals didn't do anything for each other. Them sharing ideas didn't do anything for each other. Them, collaborating and masterminding didn't do anything. The thing I love about the real network is you and I are business partners, and everyone here is partners with me. They're partners with you. Everyone, even not necessarily in our network, but still at the company, is still a partner of mine. I have agents reach out that were with Real before I ever got there, that need help. And I'm like, if I can help them succeed, they're helping me succeed ultimately, because they're going to raise the valuation of the company. So there's just so many cool things to talk about there. So last but not least,
hold on before, because I want to say something on that, because people look at me like, I think I've got 4 really solid leaders in our organization, 14 core team members. We've got over 60 people in our like top producers in our mastermind. I'm talking some of them $600,000 a month type earners in there. 100 coaching clients, 400 people in our network, 900 people registered for our event in over 35 states, both in Canada and the US. And you look at that and it's like, wow. Like, I even have to sit back and like, wow, dude, what you've done is kind of cool. But I want to go back to 2018 when I'd made some shifts to really launch my academy. My first mastermind event was in New Orleans in May 2018. And I had 6 people show up. 2 of which paid. Everyone else, I let them come for free. And I was like, there to hear, don't think that because maybe you're not where I'm at, you can't build something extraordinary. I think that's really cool. I've got other examples with our customers, like Colton Lindsay was 130 grand. Now she's 3 years later, now $1 million this year. So you can extraordinarily grow, but you could be at any level to grow. And what's important is proximity is power, getting into the circle that will support you. And like Joe, he's got an amazing support system, right? So I think that's important to share that.
So talk about proximity. How do people, what is your, so I've transitioned to where my preferred method of connecting with other people is Instagram. I love Instagram. I reply to messages. I love connecting with people on there. How can people get in touch with you?
So a great way to get in touch with me is Instagram. The WGR is literally my best way to connect.
Is it at the WGR?
Yep,
like
GHEWGR. Yep, at the WGR. You can get to the summit. We still are selling virtual tickets. You can get a ticket www.thewgrsummit.com if this goes out before. We're streaming live, so probably something.
Yeah, it's out right now.
All of that, you get around me at that mastermind in Vegas that I'll be at. I'll be at speaking at some Inman stuff with Rise and some other things going on there happening. So there's different ways to get around me. But I will tell you this: I got into proximity with amazing people first by paying for it. Like one of the speakers coming to my event, even this last year, I joined Tony Robbins Platinum Mastermind Partners, which I'm in that 120 grand. So you can get into it through Instagram with me and reach out and get involved with our academy and our mastermind. That's one way I highly recommend. Get into someone else's, but you get what you pay for in life. And what I mean by that is your energy and your attention. So where you focus that energy and attention is what will follow up and manifest in your life. So get in touch with me there or any of these events.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, the goal is to highlight some challenges individuals have overcome, to highlight some successes that they're achieving, and to get from them some great advice. And Colton, you've done all 3 of those, so thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.